Blessings everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, we're going to learn how to do this simple hot cocoa coffee mug. But first, a scripture. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy, and that's coming from Matthew chapter 5 verse 7. All the items that I will be using in this video will be linked down below. For the hot chocolate drip, I'm just going to be using a slick from Tulip. My white glitter is from Coastal Glitter and the color is White Sugar Sand. For my base, I am going to be using Pop of Color in the color white. Also, I have my 10-ounce stainless steel coffee mug. I am going to paste my pool noodle inside there. I had to cut it so it can fit onto my cup. And I'm already having my PVC pipe in there as well. So I am going to be getting ready to paint this. I also have like a makeup brush and I got that from the dollar store. So now I have my paper and everything like that in front of it because we are going to be using the base, and while it's wet, we're going to apply the glitter that way. As you can see, I am applying a heavy coat on it, and I'm just going to make sure I smooth it out as I go. And I only apply one coat of this. I didn't have to go in a second time and apply the base coat because we're going to be using it as our adhesive to apply the glitter. I am not going to edit this part out. You're going to see me make a big mess inside my cup, but it's all good. I got my paper down. I'm going to use this as my paperweight, and I'm going to apply that white sugar sand from Coastal Glitter to my cup. And as you can see, when I was tapping the glitter from the bottle, it was getting all inside that cup, but it's all good because it's not, you know, sticking inside there because we didn't paint inside the cup. So it's all good. It's all good. So I'm just going to do this real quick so that way I have everything fully covered. I don't want this to dry fast on me. I'm going to come back to the handle so that way I can make sure the handle is pretty covered. I think in some spots it did dry a little bit on me, but it's all good because we're going to come again and apply more glitter to this cup once everything dries. So yeah, I'm looking around the cup and I do see some spots that, you know, didn't quite get fully covered like I wanted to. So I'm going to come back with this is glitter glue adhesive. I'm going to apply it to my cup. I did apply it the next day. You don't really have to wait that long to do that, but I did because I had to go to work. So this glitter glue is a little watery, so I'm going to, you know, take my time, go around the cup to make sure I cover everything so I can apply that second coat of glitter to my cup. So now it's time to apply the second coat of the glitter. So here I am trying to make sure I cover the handle part first because I didn't want to forget this part. and I'm just going to go ahead and cover the rest of the cup. And once I apply this final coat of glitter, I am going to wait for it to dry and then apply another coat of glitter glue. And that's going to act as my sealant because normally I use Rust-Oleum 2 times Ultra Clear, but I'm going to try this glitter glue instead. And then after that dries, I'm going to apply our first coat of epoxy. So it's the next day, and I have my cup already sealed, and now I'm just going to apply that first coat of epoxy. And so far, I am just loving the shine that's on this cup. The camera cannot even pick it up. However, I am going to turn my turner off in a few because I want to make sure I cover every spot of this cup. So you see me here, I turned it off and I'm just making sure I am doing the finger method for as applying the epoxy on my cup because I find that's easier because you can feel which spot needs the epoxy and how much epoxy I have. I have about 20 mils in this cup, so that fully covered this 10-ounce cup. I know that sounds like a lot, but I am trying to do less sanding on this cup as much as possible. Once I finish epoxying this cup, I am going to let it cure for the recommended time, and then we are going to come back. So it's the next day, and I thought I was good with the epoxy, but I wasn't. So I'm going to be using Lickety Split by K Resin, and I'm just going to do a thin layer of epoxy. My handle had a little bit of spots that had, glitter peeking through, and on my bottom of my cup had some glitter peeking through. So that's why I'm just going to do one more coat of epoxy with this mix. And also I'm going to use a tad bit of blue dye in the epoxy, just a toothpick size of it. You don't have to put too much, and this will prevent it from yellowing as much as it will over time because all cups that are white will yellow over time, but to help it, stay white a little bit longer, I use UV resin and I use a little bit of that blue dye. So I'm taking my heat gun to heat up the cup just a little bit because it was kind of cold in my area. So this is the alcohol ink that I'm using. The dye wasn't coming off the stainless steel, so I didn't have a toothpick, so I just did a little drop, and that's how much I will be using. This is a don't be like me moment. So as I'm mixing up the epoxy, I noticed on my cup that when I opened up the alcohol ink, some of the blue splatter that was on the lid of the alcohol ink got on my cup, and I was like, no. So I applied the epoxy onto my cup, and as you can see, you don't see the blue getting onto the white. And that's all you need. You do not need a lot of blue. It's gonna look a little tinted, but it's okay because once you apply it onto the cup, you don't see the blue at all. Now, the little spots that's on my cup, I am going to get rid of it. I assume once I put the epoxy on the cup that it will go away. You see me trying to scratch it off, but I am going to get rid of it and I will show y'all now how I did it. I stopped my turner and worked on the spots that had the blue in it. I mean, it came off, but I was like super bummed out that it wasn't, coming off all the way that like I wanted to. However, if you look at this cup, it's not as blue as it was before, and the spot that's on the top, I am going to cover that up anyway with the chocolate drips, so it was all good. And the cup was for me. If it was for a customer, I think I would have been really, really sad about it, and I would have just started all over. So you see me hitting it with the heat gun to pop out any micro bubbles, and we're going to come back the next day and see how it is. So it's the next day, and I did a little light sanding onto the part that I'm going to apply my decal on. And at first, I did print on printable vinyl and it was not working. So I went ahead and did it on clear water slide. I just mirrored it and I sprayed it with 2 times Rust-Oleum in white, 2 times, and then let it dry and applied a clear coat of the 2-time Ultra Clear and let that dry. And I was ready to put my water slide on. At first, I was like, oh man, this is not going to fit, but I made it work. I forgot to wet my cup while applying the decal. I know. Then I noticed that since I spray painted the back of this because I mirrored it and everything like that, and I noticed that the part that has the white spray paint is not going to be clear no more. So keep that in mind when you turn clear water slide paper into, white. You're going to get that white spot if you don't cut it. So I should have cut my decal out first and then spray painted it white and then went over with the clear and let it dry. But I didn't do that, so it's all good. So after I got all that cut out, I still was, making sure that my water slide won't be wrinkled or anything like that. So I'm going to speed this part up so you don't have to see me struggle that much. So my water slide paper on my cup is completely dry. I am satisfied even though I have like a little bump right there and that one little glitter spot right there. Look, it look like I got a little pimple on my cup. But it's all cool though because we're going to cover that up with the chocolate drips. For the drips, I'm going to be using Slick by Tulip and I'm going to slowly go around my cup. I am right-handed, so me holding it with my left hand was a struggle, so I had to make sure that I had it fully comfortable on my left hand, and I'm just going to go around my rim just like this. And the good thing about this is not going to start dripping until you start, lightly tapping it onto your surface. So I really, really like that because I didn't want to use epoxy for this because one, I know it would be messy for me with the epoxy. Two, I didn't want to have a mistake and then starting all over when it came to the epoxy method. With this method, if you don't like it, you can just wash it off. And I have an extra water slide just in case I mess up. So you see, I'm almost at my front of my cup where we started from. There are so many ways to do the drip method, so find out what works best for you. I'm finding out this works best for me because I really didn't have to babysit this. So now I'm done. I am going to bang it, not hard, but just enough to make it go down to make the drip effect. So you want to make sure that you go around your cup to make sure the drips are flowing down just like you want it. And I am applying more because it's not going down like I want it to. So now after I did that, it's moving and I'm loving it so far. And I added some chocolate running over the handle because that's the look I wanted. So just have fun, play around with it, see what works for you and see what don't work for you. I did notice that my drip ran down too far in the front. It was covering my letters. So I just went back and just wiped it off and fixed it up with a little bit with a little picking tool that I use for my other craft. After fixing it up, I did pat it down on the opposite direction, waited overnight to let it dry, and applied my final coat of epoxy. so here it is, my hot cocoa mug. I love it so much. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Peace, love, and happy crafting. God bless. Bye.